This is a brake caliper from a 2013 to 2019 Ford Escape. It's got the hydraulic emergency brake on it, and I was looking online. I couldn't see anywhere where they showed you how to run the piston back into the cylinder. And I didn't know. This is my second try at it. So here's the first one. This is the off the driver's side. See the big crack in it? This one I tried pressing the cylinder back in and or pressing the piston back in, and I gave it a little bit too much and I broke the caliper. It's just aluminum after all, so that can happen. So let's try number one. And that was $120 plus $80, and that was $120 plus $80 core charge. So that could be a $200 mistake if they don't accept the core, because it's got a big break in it. So but they probably will, because it's got everything there. So just be careful. So how you relieve the pressure, so to allow the piston to go back into the caliper, I'm using, this is just a ball joint press. You know, you put it on the underside of the ball joint and it presses out the bolt. It works good. Or a two-prong puller will work for this too. You could just press it in the center. So so how you get that piston to go back in is you have to depress the emergency brake lever fully. If you put pressure on it, that emergency brake lever won't go down. You gotta put the emergency brake lever down, and then you can press the piston back in. So I'll show you here. I don't got a headset, so I'll put the camera in my mouth or something. So here's the lever for the emergency brake. It just pumps that piston back out of there. It must have a little cylinder or something in there where it, you know, adds a little bit extra pressure. It must have a little cylinder in there where it adds a little bit extra pressure to force the piston out. So that lever's got to be all the way to the end. So that lever's got to be all the way to the end, just like that. And you got to put something there to hold it in place. Oh, lights went out. Working in the dark again. I'm working at night again. So just like that, vice grips work. So that's clamped in place. When you do go to press the piston back in, it will want to move a little bit. So have it clamped firmly, you know, just like that. And then for whatever method you're using to push that piston back in, whether it be a ball joint puller or just a two jaw puller, or the special you know, brake pad separators, you know, to push that piston back in, or one of the even fancier hydraulic ones. I don't recommend using a hydraulic one on this, just in case, because if it sticks or something jams up, you'll break the caliper pretty easily. So best not to use something that puts a lot of force on it. So once you have that emergency brake lever clamped, you can start running the cylinder. You can start running that piston back in. So I'll tighten that up. It'll get tight and then it'll squirt some fluid out and get loose. It'll get tight and then it'll squirt some fluid out and get loose. So it must be a tiny little hole or some kind of relief valve that's actuated by that lever being there all the way. See, it's tight, and then it'll get loose again and start going down. Best to put this in a vise, but the vise is all out in the dark there and I don't want to go venturing off in the middle of the night. I think it's about 2 a.m. So. Yeah, need to find another method of doing this. What can I get to hold that? Pipe wrench? Okay, there we go, just like that. Piston's all the way back in. I didn't break this one this time. You do have to crank on that puller pretty good to get the piston to go back in, and like I said, it'll be really hard for 3 or 4 cranks, and then it'll get loose and then move in really quickly, and then you have a bunch of loose turns till you get to the hard part again, and then it'll get tight again, and then it'll get loose, and it'll get tight again, and they get loose. And then before you know it, you'll have the piston all the way back in. So yeah, hydraulic pad separator, I'd be really careful with. Make sure you got the emergency brake valve or lever all the way open so it releases the pressure, and then it should be all good. Ball joint remover works good, but you have to crank on it pretty good, and I use the socket as an extension because it doesn't go in all the way far enough to push the piston in. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So if you have a 2013 Ford Escape and you're having trouble with the rear brake calipers, you can't get the pads to separate and that piston to go back in, it's because you got to pull the emergency brake lever in all the way. And that's this lever here at the back of the caliper. So once that's in all the way and held in place, then the piston will go back in.